Yes, thank you. Was that the one we sing, or is that the old-fashioned Christian hymn? Will the circle be unbroken? Okay, I'm going to live so God can use me. Same thing. Okay. Anyway, welcome everybody. Welcome to our virtual service, and it's so great to know that you guys are out there in your pajamas with your pets and your loved ones snuggling up and watching our service online. As many of you know, if you're missing the service or if you want to see it again, it'll be up on Facebook for a while, and also it's on YouTube and also on CAPS TV, thanks to our wonderful Ed Lynch. So, welcome, and I'm going to turn it over to Brock, our Vice President, who's going to say a few words.
Hi. It's really weird. Very grateful to be here, very grateful to be a part of this living community. So let's just take a moment and just be aware that we are a virtual circle, and we are actually present together. We are actually gathered together in cyberspace, and people will be joining us for days. So it's a big circle, and it's a good circle. I'm really glad you're here. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, Brother Brock. Appreciate that. Excuse me. Okay, let us pray.
Good morning, everyone. Practitioners, ministers, please stand with me. And let's all take a deep breath in and be in this presence of peace, this stillness that is open to new beginnings and the knowing that all is well. And as I breathe this into my being, I trust and absolutely see that all there is good, all there is God, and there is an absolute courageous fierceness that protects and surrounds us as we dream for a world filled with loving hearts, open to unity, open to peace, and open to compassion. As I know that there is always this ray of light shining from the divine, radiating through me, I know that this is the truth of each and every person and thing in the universe. And so I know this day is truly blessed and supports each of us in beaming our rays of lights, even if we are searching for it. It is always, always searching for us and knowing where we are. And so this service is a ray of light. And I simply say thank you, Reverend Bonnie Rose. Thank you, Hugh Rose, for the poetry. Thank you for the musicians and the photographers and all of the people who serve here today. And thank you to each and every one of you in cyberspace. Thank you for your connection. Thank you for your loving hearts and grace. And I just say yes and humbly trust and surrender my prayer to universal love, knowing that good is already done and that this service is a healing blessing for all. And together we say, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you. So let us breathe deeply and remain in that beautiful space that Vicki brought us to with her wise and compassionate words. And as we breathe, we relax more into our being. We still the chatter in our heads and simply open the heart. In that place of spaciousness, let us listen to the words of our sacred reading.
The Guest House, a poem by Jalaluddin Rumi. This being human is a guest house Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, or some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them all in. Be grateful to whomever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
So we breathe into that beautiful poem by Rumi. Allow it to penetrate our hearts and open us up to even more good, to even more appreciation of all that is. And in this space of vast appreciation, we breathe in deeply, and then we exhale, and we open our eyes in love and in service to what is, as it is, and so it is.
Well, good morning, all you good folks at Ventura Center for Spiritual Living. Hope you're well today. We have a lot of limitations right now, but whoever you are, wherever you are, we all have the power to choose love in everything we do each day, and I wrote a song about it. This song's called Choose Love. So many choices in the world today. Too many things can blow your mind. And if you're needing just a simple song to sing along the way, remember, choose love, choose love, choose love. And keep on shining a light and choose love, choose love, choose love. And keep on shining a light and choose love. Life is a game that we're all free to play. You can hold it down or let it breathe. And if you're needing just a simple truth to see you on your way, together choose love, choose love, choose love. And keep on shining a light and choose love, choose love, choose love. And keep on shining a light and choose love. Only love can move mountains. Only love can lead the way. Love is always forgiveness. So make that choice right here today. And choose love. Choose love, choose love. And keep on shining a light and choose love, choose love, choose love. And keep on shining a light and choose love, choose love, choose love. And keep on shining a light and choose love, 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 love. Choose love and keep on shining a light and choose love.
Thank thank you so much, Darius and Chris and Vicky for her beautiful prayer, and Hugh for his wonderful reading, and Brock for his speech, and for helping behind the scenes, and for everybody who's here. It's just wonderful to see all 10 of you, and 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 to know that there are people watching at home too. Oh goodness, I want to start today by reminding us a bit of who we are and what's going on, and this is a different perspective than we might be familiar with. I was watching the other day something that a friend of mine sent me, a church member actually, and it's a video from the SANS convention, spirituality and non-science. What is it? SANS, science and non-duality. Science and non-duality. Right. Okay. So it was this gentleman whose name is Neil Thies. And he was speaking about the inherent compassionate nature of the universe, which, to some folks, it doesn't feel like it's compassionate all the time, maybe particularly right now. But at a universal level, this gentleman, Neil Thies, he's a doctor, he's a researcher, he does stem cell research. He is a Jewish Buddhist who knows a lot about Vedanta, form of Hinduism. So typically, really, he's my kind of guy. I like all of that about him. And he had this theory that he was talking about how in the world, in the universe, systems organize from the bottom up. One of the ways to look at this is to go backwards. So to look at a community, well, a community is comprised of beings, individual beings. An individual being is comprised of cells. Cells are made out of molecules and atoms. And atoms are made out of subatomic particles. And beyond that, we have the quantum layer, which is either really big or really small. Really small in that it's imperceptible, but really big in that it's everywhere. And this guy, this Neil Thies guy, was talking about how so many of us think that we are a being living on the earth. Like, think about that. You think, okay, I'm here and I live on the earth, or I'm here and I live in the universe, if we want to broaden out a little bit. But what he said is to try flipping it, to try thinking of it as the earth has become a being, or the universe has become a being, and therefore we are the universe, just in a human form. He talked about how even this part about the earth has become a being, that everything that we ingest and everything that we inhale, that's what makes us. Everything about us that has made us is from something from the earth that we've either ingested or inhaled, whether it's food or water or the atmosphere, the air. So we really are these mystical, dynamic places of spirit and matter intersecting here in a human form. Doing what with it? We are the universe. And we're the universe, and we could do so many things, but so often we just want to boss the universe around. Like it doesn't know what it's doing, but look what it did. Look at us. Look at us. We're amazing. The world is amazing. The earth is amazing. And when I love the juxtaposition of small and large. Like there's all of these small things that coalesce together to create something large. So is small really large? I think it is. And is large really small? I think that's true too. It reminded me of something that someone shared with me earlier this week. We were talking about soil, the care of the soil. And he told me, and then he backed it up with an article that he sent me. He said that in a teaspoon of soil, there are more microorganisms than there are people on the planet Earth. Oh. That's just staggering to me. And together we had like this teary moment of appreciating people who work with the soil, whether it's our farmers or the people who pick fruit or our congregants like Hugh and Norm who love the soil dearly and rely upon it. We all rely upon the soil. So there is this vast mystery going on, and we are part of it. In fact, we are the mystery itself. And yet, we don't often hold that perspective for ourselves, do we? There are times when we think, oh, I'm just individual, I just have this, this ordinary life. There is nothing about us that is ordinary. The only thing that you might say that's ordinary is the fact that it's happening all over the place, but it's so miraculous. What is happening is so miraculous all of the time. And so, if we have this narrative of, well, life isn't very good, life is out of control, life is not going the way that I want it to, I should be different, life is just giving me a hard time, maybe rethink that. Maybe we can rethink that together here this morning in this talk that I'm doing called Check Your Narrative. Check your narrative. Check your narrative and then make a decision about it. See if it's really supporting you and if it's supporting all beings and the planet Earth. So that's what we're about today. So if you're at home or if you're here, take a moment, if you would, and reflect on what your most dominant negative narrative is. If this was a class, I would have people shout them out, but we're not mic'd here in the house. And I think I know a lot of dominant negative narratives because I have some. I think, and people that I've spoken to, things like what I just said, the world is falling apart, the world is never going to be the same, like that's a bad thing. I'm not enough, I'm not important, I'm not doing enough. All of those things and so much more. Perhaps you had something different, but if you want to, go ahead and write that down so you're aware of what it is, because awareness is part of the key. Now, part of examining our dominant narrative is it's often nice to take a friendly look as to how it got there. Did we choose it? Did it happen on purpose? Did our parents deliberately tell us this stuff? Probably not. I'm going to tell you a story about conditioning that I think serves this well. Probably about 20 years ago, I was having a conversation with our veterinarian in the San Fernando Valley, our former vet. And, my whole life I've spent a lot of times at the vet's office, so I get to know them pretty well. We like to tell stories about medical things and all kinds of stuff. And this vet was telling me about the situation that he had with being on call. When he first got out of veterinary school, he had a job at a veterinary hospital, a big hospital that had overnight hours. It was like a veterinary emergency room. And this was before cell phones, so he had a beeper, and he would work all night, and then he'd go home, and sometimes he would get paged, and he would have to get on the phone and resolve some type of issue. Well, one night, after a particularly hard night with lots and lots of emergencies and lots of challenging cases, he went home. He was so excited to get to sleep. And a couple hours later, during the day, his pager went off. His pager went off, so he staggered to the phone, picked it up, said, "What?" And they said, "We didn't page you." So he's like, "Okay, mistake. I don't think they could butt dial back then with regular phones. That would be really hard, you'd have to sit on it. But somebody dialed my pager by mistake." I'm so glad I did that on television, okay? So, and then he went back to sleep. I wouldn't be the first. Thank you for that, yeah. He went back to sleep, and then it happened again. His pager went off, he staggered over the phone, and he picked up the receiver and dialed, and they said, "I'm sorry, doctor, we didn't call you." So he hung up, went back to sleep. It happened again, and he went over to the phone, and this time he was kind of irked, and he picked up the phone. He said, "Look, you are calling me. You've got to stop calling me. There's something wrong in your records. You're calling the wrong pager. I am not on call right now, and you shouldn't be calling me anyway if there's no emergency." And as he was berating the person on the other end of the phone, he looked over and saw his African gray parrot, who suddenly mimicked the sound of his pager perfectly. Perfectly. And the doctor said, "Oops, my bad, sorry, it's my bird." So he put down the phone and all was well. Now, because I knew I was going to tell this story, if you're looking for something fun to do during the pandemic, watch funny parrot videos. Oh my goodness, they are so good, so entertaining. It'll totally brighten your day. And some of you have parrots. I've been around a lot of parrots, and they are quite entertaining animals. But what does this have to do with the narrative? Well, the parrot didn't really know, oh, I think I'm going to imitate this pager and work on this doctor friend of mine that is my companion. I'm not going to do it to irritate him or play a joke, although I think sometimes birds do play jokes, but that's another story. It was just conditioning. He heard the pager a lot, and he spouted out the sound of it because he had learned it, and it was just conditioning. And I think that is the same thing that happens with the stories that we tell ourselves. All we need to do is turn on the news or listen to the radio or speak to a bunch of people, and we hear about how bad things are. The news is not going to say, guess what? You are the earth that has become human to individuate and do wonderful things with all of these brain cells that you have. The news is not going to say that. I've never heard them say that. I haven't. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never heard them say that we are the universe or we are the earth. So we listen to this narrative all the time, and it becomes our conditioning. It's what we learn, and it's what we speak back to the world. And as we speak it back to the world, we both speak it and we hear it, and then it becomes even a more powerful state of conditioning. The other thing about us humans is that, we tend to go for a negative bias. Particularly in times like this, when the world is kind of unsettled and uncertain, when we are uncertain, we tend to make up worst-case scenarios rather than deal with the uncertainty. It feels like we are helping by imagining what could go wrong and making plans along those lines. And you notice that those plans never really go anywhere, do they? If you're at home, think about a time about what was on our minds. And I was about to have this conversation with somebody that I just dreaded. And I was going into a whole story about, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And my husband just looked at me and said, you don't know what's going to happen. And dang it, he was right. He was right. It didn't turn out the way that I thought at all. In fact, it was lovely. And all of that worry had been from my conditioning, from my family, that it's difficult to have intense conversations with people, and it wasn't that way at all. So one thing for us to do to manage our inner narrative is to look at what we're thinking, and that can be hard. It can be hard to stop and see if we're just going down a path of least resistance of something that we've learned. See if your inner parrot is simply parroting something back that you've heard over and over again. And take that energy, take that sentence. It may be true, who knows, but chances are it's not the whole truth. Take that sentence and hold it up against the light of everything that exists is of the universe. And the universe is of pure conscious awareness at the quantum level. And how does that story hold up against that truth? Does it make it seem bigger than it needs to be or smaller than it needs to be? In my experience, when I hold up that story that I'm telling myself, that negative narrative that I'm telling myself, when I hold it up against the light of the mystery and the vastness and the smallness, the mystical smallness of the universe, that everything matters, I often don't want to tell the story anymore. I would prefer to focus on the beauty and the power and the love that is life. So that's one thing that we can do to check our narratives. One thing we can do. Another thing is to actually consciously become aware of it in a loving manner and treat it well. There's stories about this in so many spiritual traditions. I've heard it in Vedanta, which is Hinduism. I've heard it in Christianity. In Sufism, the poem that Hugh read was about the guest house, welcoming in all of the things that disturb you, welcoming them in. And then recently I read a Buddhist parable with the same type of feel to it. And in this Buddhist parable, there was a nun, a Buddhist nun, who was at home, and all of a sudden a thief broke into her house. And the thief said to her, "I'm going to steal your stuff, Mama." I don't know that that's the actual words of the parable, but that's what it is in my mind. "I'm going to steal your stuff, Mama." And she said, "Well, you look hungry, so let me give you some porridge first, and then you can steal my stuff." So she gave him the porridge, and she said, "You're still welcome to whatever I have, but I want you to make a promise to me. I want you to go and steal no more." And the parable said that the only thing that the thief left with was a full belly, an open heart, and the desire to steal no more. He didn't take any of her stuff. He was so moved by her generosity and by her welcoming presence that he no longer had any power in the face of that. So what does that mean in terms of the inner monologues that we tell ourselves? What does it mean in terms of the narratives? It's okay. Sorry, I'm having a little mic popping issue here. What does it mean in terms of and I just glared at Kenny. I think it's me, Kenny. Fix this a little bit. Oh, it's thunder. It's beyond the Thunderdome. Fireworks, I know. You know how I feel about fireworks. Scary dogs. Okay, how's that? I think I'm better. I don't know. Ken's shrugging. I didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Maybe it was God telling us to wake up. Who knows? Wake up to what I'm about to say. So actually this is important. You know, so many times, particularly spiritual people, particularly you spiritual people out there and in here, point the finger at you, particularly spiritual people, we want so much to be better that when we feel something that feels out of alignment with spirituality and it feels like it's of the ego, we just want to annihilate it. We want to annihilate the ego. We want to annihilate that part of us that doesn't feel quite so spiritual. What if we could do something else? What if we could welcome it in and give it some porridge and tell it that we love it and say, you know, I would like you to leave. You can take something, but please don't steal from me anymore. Really, the only thing that'll happen is it'll take your time, you know? And again, I keep quoting this essay from Jill Bolts Taylor about how, it really only takes 90 seconds to move through an emotion, to move through a fear. And if we just sit there for 90 seconds with what's going on, really it doesn't take even 90 seconds. It goes faster. And then we can look at the underlying untruth that is below the fear. You know, if we're afraid of something, if we're afraid of impermanence, if we're afraid of uncertainty, if we're afraid of losing all of our money, if we're afraid of dying, if we're afraid of being rejected, if we're afraid of being anything, all of that stems from fear. And the fear, I would say, is stemming from ignorance of our true nature, that we are the universe, that we are the earth, that we are an outpicturing of awakening consciousness, and we are here to awaken to that. But with all of that chatter, it makes it more challenging to do it. However, the chatter is there for a reason. The chatter is there like my mic pops. It's there to wake us up and to get us to do the inner work of seeing where we are and how we're participating in this mystery of grace that we live in, and how can we call forth a greater experience of grace for ourselves, not only for us, but for all beings everywhere, for the planet, for the soil, for the animal kingdom, for the trees, for other human beings, for everyone. For everyone. So that's what it takes, I think, is that willingness to see it, and that willingness to hold it kindly and to welcome it and to see what it has to teach us. And then I want to offer you one strategy for actually doing this, one technique for doing this that has helped me. It may not be for everybody, but it helped me, and you can adapt it to the way that your mind works. Reverend Karen Mondragon, gave me a book called, I often forget the title because I call it How to Lead When You Don't Know What the Bleep You're Doing. And I could have been insulted. The real title is How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going. How to Lead When You Don't Know Where You're Going. It's written by an author named Susan Beaumont. And It's a really, really good book. And she was very kind about the way she approached me. She's like, you probably know all this stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't. Give me the book. Because really, particularly right now, and really always, it's just kind of escalated right now, is that church and other organizations and families and teenagers and children and college and our jobs, we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't really know what's going to happen. That's why we try so hard to control everything, right? So this book has been really awesome. I've only read a little bit of it, but so far it's been really awesome in terms of dealing with the narratives in our heads that say that you don't know, if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know where you're going, then that's a bad thing. It's really teaching people to lead from presence rather than personality. And I love that. So one of the things that this author, Reverend Susan Bowman, says is that when you're leading from presence, you need to step back. You need to step back. She likened it unto being in a ballroom dancing. And you're dancing away. Let's say it's not ballroom dancing, because that's a little more, sedate. Let's say you're doing like, I don't know, hip hop. I don't think I can, well, actually I could demonstrate it, but I don't want to. I've already gone like this once in the service, right? So anyway, let's say you're doing hip hop and you're really into what you're doing and you don't really know what's going on in the periphery. You don't know what's going on aside from what's right in front of you or your partner or the people standing close to you. But she said that if you were in that ballroom and you were to stand on the balcony, you could see everything that's happening. You could see who's misbehaving, who's dancing really well, who's being respectful, who's being disrespectful. You could see if somebody's coming in or if somebody's leaving. And she suggested that when we are having an inner narrative that feels like it may not be the spiritual truth, or the spiritual truth about another being, the spiritual truth about the planet, the spiritual truth about permanence versus impermanence, the spiritual truth about ourselves, she recommends that we go stand on that balcony and take a broader view of it. Now, in her illustrations, she drew a circle with the person standing in the middle, and she said, this is the place where you don't want to be, right in the middle of your swirling story. You want to be on the outside. Now, as soon as somebody draws a circle with a person in the middle, guess what I think of? My lovely assistant, Chris, is helping me out here. Thank you very much, Brother Chris. Let me do a little, that was graceful too, wasn't it? Okay. Let me not squirt this in my eye. How's that, everybody? Look at that. Woohoo! I love that. Sorry, Darius. Okay, little fumes over by the singer. So you're standing in a circle, and think of this as your circle of story, right? And you're spinning it, you're spinning it, you're spinning it, you're spinning it, gives it power. If you spin it faster, it gets faster. If you can do all kinds of things with it just to keep spinning it, your story, you're telling it over and over again. You're talking to your friends about it. Your friends are validating your story. You're seeking evidence everywhere you go. You're reading books about your story. You're looking at the news, and the news is saying, your story is true, Reverend Bonnie. Your story is true. Life is really in trouble. Life is in bad shape. However, if you stop spinning, let me do it again. If you stop spinning, it falls to the ground. And what's really wonderful, oh, that was tricky. What's really wonderful is that you can step over it and step back and just look at what that story was when it had all of that momentum. And then make a new choice, if you want a new choice. Often the new choice is choosing the truth of the reality, the spiritual reality, which is so often ignored by so much of the world, including me when I'm really in my story, the spiritual truth that we are the universe, that the universe has individuated mystically and magically through each of us. And that is so wonderful. That is a wonderful truth to use, because knowing that the universe has individuated through us in a mystical and magical experience, it gives us so much more power, because as we are created in the image and likeness of God, our lives unfold from us. They emanate from us. And we can make better choices in terms of our thoughts and our narratives, better choices to create thoughts and narratives that support the spiritual truth rather than the facts that we are told. There's a vast consciousness of spiritual truth that is greater than all of the facts. It is both everything and nothing at the same time. It is void and form. It is zero and it is infinity. It's too mystical to describe, but I know that it's there. So yesterday, as I was preparing this talk, I was actually, I was hiking when I was thinking about this. And I was in my story quite a bit. You know, this thing has been dragging on for quite a while, and it's been an interesting experience to sustain the church and to sustain other aspects of my life and to stay connected with people that I want to stay connected with, my family who lives all over the world and all over the country, rather. Although today I am doing a Zoom birthday party for my sister's collie, which, you know, I've never been to a Zoom birthday party before, and certainly not for a collie. But anyway, we are, you know, I was in my story quite a bit, and as I was hiking, I started thinking about the imagery of the hula hoop, spinning a hula hoop. I wasn't actually gyrating on the trail. That might have looked weird, but I was thinking of spinning the hula hoop, and then all of a sudden I just stopped, and I stepped back, and the story cleared. The story cleared, and I was able to say, you know, maybe everything is okay. Now, it's not a real firm affirmation. Everything is unfolding for the highest and best good. I believe that most of the time, but at that time I was just able to say, maybe everything really is okay, and everything is going to turn out okay. I think it is. Now, today, in this sacred community, knowing that you guys are out there, knowing that there's a few people in here, knowing that we work on this together, knowing that we have the support of the community to allow this consciousness to seep into the mass consciousness, I truly believe that everything is okay. And because everything is okay right now, everything is going to be okay. And we get to be the midwives for that. We get to give birth to that. We get to catch the baby and do something wonderful with it. The baby is our thoughts. The baby is this new consciousness that we're giving birth to that is the embrace of everything in a wonderful, magical, mystical way. And the reason I stopped is that it's not a new consciousness. It's been around forever, but it might be new to us. So my recommendation is what I said, to notice our conditioning, to notice where we're being like that parrot and just parroting back what we've heard without reality checking it against the higher spiritual truth. Notice that, and then when we do notice it, welcome it with kindness and grace, welcome it in, give it some porridge, see what it wants to teach us. And then if we continue to spin, then just stop the spinning and physically step to the side. So often our stories are lodged in our bodies, and sometimes a physical movement can really help us get past our stories. And I really recommend that for tapping into the wisdom that is the body. All of those cells that know what they're doing, they're all here. They're all doing something through each of us right now. So why not tap into that wisdom as well as the wisdom of our minds and our hearts? What this boils down to, for me, and I hope for all of us, is that, yes, we have been given this incredible life, that we are the universe, that we are the earth, and that within these magical bodies full of cells and molecules and atoms and subatomic particles and quantum field, that we can create something wonderful through all of this. I looked up today how many thoughts we have per day, and it said about 60,000 per day. So if we can, let's see if we can make some of those thoughts conscious. If you're feeling badly, if you're feeling depressed, if you're feeling separate, if you're feeling grumpy, if you're feeling irritable, if you're casting out a lot of negative emotion, if you're feeling afraid, then check your thoughts and see if you really, really, really want to be thinking those thoughts. Part of you is going to say, if I don't think those thoughts, I won't be okay. Those thoughts are the truth. Those thoughts may be true, but they're not the whole truth. See if you can step back or step to the side and call forth the higher vision of the reality that we know is true. That we are the earth in form, and that we are the universe, an individuated expression of awareness, creating here in our lives. Let's do that now. Let us pray. Thank you. Okay. So we turn within and we trust and we know that there truly is one life force that is God, that is awareness, it is spirit, it is higher power, it is whatever it is we choose to call it, love, grace, that it is omnipresent. This is the source of all things. This is the life of all life. This is the life of everything that is inanimate. This is the life of the planet and the stars and the moon and the sun, the earth, the soil, the tiny microbes in the soil, the fungus, the lichen, all of it. All of it is the life of God expressing here in this divine mystery of harmony that sometimes looks like disharmony. But it is all happening for us, for our evolution, and for the evolution of awareness that seeks itself through our lives. And so knowing that this is true, knowing that we are connected to this, that we are this, it's not even a matter of connection. We are this life force. Let us together vow to choose thoughts that are kind and loving, not only to ourselves, but to all beings. Let us together vow to let go of the perception of inadequacy and failure and disaster, and just trust to know that there is something great happening in this sacred time, that we are in a liminal space, a threshold space, where great spiritual work among each of us is being called forth, and that we are the ones to do that work. And so I breathe into the truth once again. I breathe into the truth of the mystery and the magical powers of love that infuse and embody this whole universe. And I give thanks. I give thanks for the transformation that I know is taking place here today. I give thanks for each and every person that is listening or hearing us today. I give thanks for this teaching. I bless all paths to God, churches, synagogues, temples, mosques, ashrams, all paths. And with a heart that is so filled with blessedness and so filled with gratitude for the way things are, for the life that we have, the eternal life that we have, and for all beings, I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, and so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Barney, for your words of inspiration and wisdom. I have a feeling there might be some congregants who will be going into their attic today to pull out the old hula hoop and dust it off and give it a whirl, and that can only be a good thing. This song is called Life Goes On. Though I try to fight it, I can't stop this thing that's happened to me. Everything I thought that I once wanted turned out not to be for real. And though I've left all that I had, I know I'm never turning back. 'Cause life goes on with the rising of the sun. It's a never-ending story. It's a game that's never won. Life goes on, and it's a song that's still unsung. And when you think that it is over, it's when it's only just begun. Life goes on. I'm truly thankful for all that I have been given. Yes, I am. Though at times I stumble and I forget that I am part of a bigger plan. I had to burn some bridges down just to get to higher ground. 'Cause life goes on. It's a show without an end. It's a reason to be breathing. It's a message we've been sent. Life goes on. But when there seems no hope in sight, when you're drowning in the mainstream and you're fighting for your life, goes on. Yeah, life goes on with the rising of the sun. It's a never-ending story. It's about never one. Life goes on. And when nobody understands, still the best that you can give it is whatever's in your hand. Life goes on. It's a show without an end. And there's a reason why we're breathing. It's a message that we've been sent. Life goes on. Ooh, life goes on. Life goes on. Ooh.
Thank you. Thanks, boys. Okay, I didn't do the announcements at the beginning, but I'd like to make a few announcements now. We sent out a survey. We actually sent it out twice, maybe 3 times, and it sounds like our congregation is they're not really survey takers, or maybe you're not getting it. But we don't have that many responses, but if you do have something that you need, it's a survey to assess what people might be needing at this time as this situation drags on. Please do let us know, because we're looking for ways to serve. We're looking for new ways to serve beyond the traditional ways that we've served the congregation in the past. For those of you who have filled it out, we have seen your answers, and we will get to you as soon as we can. Okay. A couple of new classes. One is The Power of Magic and Behavioral Lifestyles. It's a workshop series facilitated by Kim Bryson. It's on Monday, August 10th. It's priceless pricing. It's on Zoom. And there's more information about that on our website, which is www.VenturaCSL.org, and you just click on the Classes tab. Also on that same page, there's another new class. It's called the Keys to the Kingdom class, facilitated by Linda Drevenstedt. It's 7 Tuesdays, and it starts October 25th and ends on October 6th. That's also on Zoom. There's more information about that on the website, and more information coming as well. This Wednesday's meditation is on Zoom, and it's a healing meditation facilitated by Lita Martin. And let's see, there is a flower arrangement today, a lovely flower arrangement, and we are dedicating that to somebody who has recently come back to the church to serve on Sundays by popular acclaim. That would be Bill Hadris, who does our children's messages. Flowers are for you, Bill. Thank you. Also, after the service, there is prayer with a practitioner. Now, the people who are sitting here are not going to be able to hear this video. It's for our live stream people. So let's play the live stream, and then I'll close it out, and then I'll explain to you guys what's going on, okay? So this is a message from Doreen that's going to go on the live stream.
Hi, everyone. It's Doreen Palermo, one of the practitioners here at the center. I know for myself and my practitioner colleagues, what we really miss is the ability to offer you a 1-minute miracle after Sunday service. So today we'd like to try something new using Zoom meeting. If you are in need of prayer, you will find a link to a Zoom meeting in the comments section of this service. Or you can go to the VCSL website, look for Sunday service, and then look for 1-minute miracles, and the link will be provided there as well. Once you're in the Zoom meeting, you will be transferred to a breakout room where a practitioner will be waiting and ready to pray with you. And so as you can see, we have many practitioners waiting and ready to pray. And we really hope that you will join us. So we look forward to seeing you. Blessings.
Thank you. All right, so please do take advantage of that wonderful opportunity that Doreen so lovingly facilitates for us. Prayer is a wonderful thing. Prayer can help you change that inner narrative that you've got going on if you feel like you're really stuck in it. Or you can pray just out of gratitude and celebration. You can pray for yourself. You can pray for the world. Just pray. Praying is beautiful. All right, speaking of prayer, I'm going to go ahead and close us out with a prayer. So let us turn within one more time. And just trust and know that this one power, this magnificence that is life, that is love, that is God, is here right now in each of us. And it is the power and presence that lives and moves and has its perfect being in all of us. So I am so grateful for this time that we have spent together, that we have grown. And I know that everything that we have done has been just a drop in the ocean of goodness that we are circulating out to the world and into ourselves and into one another. And so again, with gratitude, I just give thanks for this sacred time together. I give thanks that we are a center of love, and with a heart filled with deep and powerful gratitude, deep thanksgiving and humility, I say thank you, Spirit, thank you, love, and I release these words into the divine mystery. And together we say, and so it is.